a big reason why my career has lasted so long is because I genuinely love trying to be the best in the world at something. I love pursuing excellence.
Excellence is about standing, and excellence is a requirement for your dream to come true.
I feel like it's multifaceted. My parents were both volleyball players. And so when I think about volleyball, my first memory is going to their tournaments and watching them play, and running around and keeping score and doing all that. I wasn't playing. But then fast forward to when I started playing, and I was 10 years old. I started playing club volleyball. And honestly, one of the first things I remember about being a player is going out in the foyer.
In the what?
The foyer, like the entryway.
Okay.
Of the school where I was practicing with my team, and my dad teaching us the rotations. And so it was like, okay, when this person serves, you have to switch spots. And then when the ball goes over, you do this. And then let's say we lose the point, and now everybody move. And so, yeah, it's not even on the court, but it's in an entryway of a high school learning how to move around the court.
Are these rules the actual rules that applies to the pro level and everything? Does it stay like this all the time? Okay,
yes.
So you learned the actual final rule from day one.
The absolute basics of how to move on the court. But yeah.
Did you feel love for volleyball right away? Or was it just following your family? I think your siblings also are playing. Pretty much everybody is playing volleyball. So was it just following what had been done forever?
Yes and no. It was because I was exposed to the sport with my parents playing. I had an affinity for it. I was curious about it. I wanted to be around it. After they were done playing, my parents were coaching. So my dad and mom would take me to the gym with them when they were coaching. And so I was just constantly around the game, and I wanted to play. I played everything growing up. Like a lot of little kids, you start with gymnastics and then soccer. And then, I played club soccer. I played club basketball. I did track and field. I did badminton. I did everything.
All at the same time, or one year after the other?
Different seasons, usually. I mean, in a given year, I would be playing 3 sports, at different seasons. So while my family did play, after being exposed to everything, volleyball did end up being the thing that I loved the most.
At what age do you remember having that kind of click that it was your sport?
Probably when I got to high school. I was coached by my dad, and he was really, really hard on me. So I never knew how good I was, just because I was continually being pushed to be better. I wasn't given a ton of compliments. So okay. I just grew up with this hard work mindset. It's not good enough. You can be better. You can be better. So I didn't really understand how good I was at the sport until I got invited to national team programs.
Wow. So it took a while.
And that should be a decent indication that okay, yeah, you're pretty good. So I started to realize how good I was in high school, and then I only started playing volleyball exclusively in university.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you think it served you that your dad or your training program was so hard on you, or do you think that it kind of underserved you, looking back?
Yes and no. I've had a lot of time to reflect about this, obviously. I think that there are kids who are innately, internally motivated. They want to be the best simply because they enjoy the pursuit of excellence. Mm-hmm. And I was that kid. And so to consistently not put kids down, because that's not what it was, but like to avoid the positive reinforcement for those kids and to give negative reinforcement. Kids like that are already giving themselves, like they're very critical. And so to add more criticism creates a spiral almost. There are other kids who need to be controlled, who don't pay attention, who aren't, don't have that motivation. Those kids need to have a stern hand. So I don't think I needed it. I don't think I needed to be pushed necessarily in the way that I was, but by the same token, it made me incredibly tough, and it kind of set the foundation for every experience I had after that. Like nothing could affect me.
Mm-hmm. Did you realize that when you were younger, or did you realize that when you were like later in life, adults?
It took until my mid-20s to realize it. I was never able to take a compliment. I was never able to finish a match and say anything that I did well. I could list a dozen things that I did poorly, but it was very hard for me to say anything that I did well. And that came from, having that experience as a young child and growing up and like constantly searching for more.
And did that change when you had like a coaching staff that was, you said, university or even high school, when you were away from maybe your dad that you said was pushing you, or did you still have people that were negatively reinforcing you even at that level, or as you were?
I had a similar experience in university. My coach was similar. I went overseas for indoor contracts. I had coaches that were very similar. It wasn't until I switched or started to play beach volleyball that people were like really nice. I'm like, why are these people so nice? Like, you need to be like harder on me. I suck. And then like also in your mid-20s, the self-awareness starts to be more developed and things like that.
Is that a thing, or that trainers and coaching is so hard on young people, especially as they go to higher level? Or did you just have like bad luck after? Well, not bad luck, not necessarily bad luck, but was it just,
I think it was just it was the luck of the draw for me.
Okay.
The coaches that I happened to work with were all very similar and were all hard on me as an athlete. I also am from like an earlier generation than current athletes, and I see athletes are different now. I think of how I was coached when I was a kid, and that would not fly today.
When it comes to what, the mental aspect of the game, or just the actual interaction and the actual things that were said and done?
Mostly that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in what aspect is it just going over what's accepted, in the sense like your shit, whatever they were saying? I don't have the English for that because I'm not swearing in English usually. But yeah, what form does it take? The excess of
I
hardness.
think like I grew up in a time where it was like whatever your coach says
is right,
and you don't question it. And if you go home and say like the coach yelled at me, the first question is like, well, what did you did wrong? Whereas now kids have had so much more, I guess the mental health awareness is more at the forefront, and kids have more of a voice. So it's very, very different. There's not as much, it's much more positive. Because I just think that that's the way that the kids today have been raised, and with social media and with the direction that society has kind of moved, I think as a whole, the whole attitude around how coaches coach is completely different.
And do you think that creates like healthier and better athletes at the end? Just mentally healthy? Or softer athletes?
Okay, I might not make many friends with this statement. I think it might make mentally healthier athletes, but not as good.
Oh,
softer.
Yeah, softer in a sense, like
Yeah.
not pushing as hard, not giving the 120% maybe.
Yeah.
And have you, when you had that pressure and all that, have you lost the love for the sport or the fun of playing at some point, or have you always kept that passion active all the time?
I mean, I would say a big reason why my career has lasted so long is because I genuinely love trying to be the best in the world at something. I love pursuing excellence just, for the sake of being excellent. It's nothing tangible. It's nothing that you can measure aside from results. But I would say if certain coaching styles or certain people or ways of being talked to had broken me, there's no way I would have played for as long as I have. There are pros and cons, but ultimately everybody who has touched my career has made me who I am, and I'm much stronger for it.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I told you before we started the podcast why I wanted to talk to inspiring people, and one of the reasons is I think there's a lot of similarities between pro sports, business, and even just on the personal level, where for me in business it's the same as just like chasing excellence. Like for what reason, I'm not even sure. I'm not chasing money. I have holes in my shoes and my jeans usually. I don't do anything. If I were to have money, I wouldn't do much with it, but it's just I want to be the best at one thing. It's like, oh, you have X cars in your fleet and you could have 3X. How would you do it? Or I would do this, and that's where I'm going. Why? I want to.
Because it's an amazing challenge, and let's see if we can do it.
Yeah. And I think I read, or maybe on another podcast, you said that it's actually not taking a toll on you, maybe, but it's just always chasing that without being able to stop can also be exhausting at some point. And is that also the thing that you said before the podcast where you said you caught me at an interesting time? Yeah. It might be aligned with that or with your career, and you said long-lasting career. So lots of questions in one question.
Yeah. Great question. I think perspective is a great thing. Age, maturity, life experience, I think all those things have kind of combined to kind of have me have like the attitude I do right now. I spent my whole life thinking, not enough, where the only time that I would feel any semblance of peace is after I won. And how often does that happen? How often do you leave a tournament with a gold medal around your neck? It doesn't happen as frequently as you would think. And so it's really a tough place to be in, to just be so down and hard on yourself week after week after week. And so, yeah, it does take a toll. It can be exhausting. And I think, a big turning point for me was the Tokyo Olympics. We went in as the gold medal favorites, the number one team, and we didn't even make the podium. And stepping away from that was just absolutely devastating. But having time to process and to think about it and to really, dive into what would that gold medal have changed for my life? Not much, probably nothing. And, spending time sitting with that, I understood there's so much more to what I do than being number one at the end of the day. So it's been a bit of an evolution over the last couple years. I've come to this place where if I am putting forth a maximal effort and I'm operating with integrity every day in pursuit of being the best, whether it happens or not, I have to be satisfied with that at the end of the day. And the peace that I have been able to feel in taking that attitude has been much healthier.
Since when have you felt that shift?
It started happening like shortly after the Tokyo Olympics, so it's been a process of a couple years now, for sure.
So you said that looking back, like you said, winning or not winning or being fifth didn't change much in the world, neither in your world, but at the same time you would have liked the feeling of winning, and probably that you're chasing another one right now, and you're chasing that, saying that's the only goal, but you want to make sure that if you don't reach that goal, you'll still be happy with the journey and everything that you did going there.
Exactly.
And what are you still chasing now, apart from the piece that you somehow got?
Well, and here we come to the kicker.
Okay.
In that the qualification for Paris just ended, and I did not qualify.
Okay.
And so I'm actually amazed and kind of concerned at how okay I am. I keep being like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? When am I gonna be incredibly upset? When am I going to just be so sad and feel like a failure? When is that gonna hit me? And it hasn't yet.
When was the result or the end of the qualification?
I knew definitively a week ago.
Okay, so very recent.
Yeah.
So what have you done since then, and are you trying to find the why I'm not pissed, or did you just move on already? Are you targeting something else? No, in 6 months, in a year from now.
I'm not trying to fixate on it too much. I have had a lot of time to kind of think about the situation and the reality and the eventuality that we wouldn't qualify. Like, a year ago, I chose to do something very difficult in that I picked up a partner who had no international experience. Absolutely none. So when you look at the world of beach volleyball and you look at the teams that are trying to qualify, before we had played together, my partner had played 2 international events. So in pursuing this, it was already going to be very difficult. Timeline-wise, we had never played together. Everybody else had had an extra however long to train together and prepare for this. We joined the party late. The experience factor. There were so many things that made it risky, and we chose to do it anyways.
And did you choose to do it or choose that partner because you knew it was kind of an impossible bet and you wanted to achieve it as an objective, or was it not really that?
The past couple years have been a little messy, I would say. The partner that I went to the Tokyo Olympics decided to go in a different direction partway through the season of 2022. So then I was kind of like trying to find somebody to play with. I ended up deciding to play with this other girl, and it was clear very early on that it was not going to work out. And Olympic qualification had already started, but I knew that it was not the right fit for success. So I chose to end that partnership. And then I had the choice, I can retire or I can try to go out on my own terms. And it didn't sit well with me to just retire feeling as terrible as I felt after the 2 partnerships that had dissolved so quickly. So I saw this as an opportunity to, at the very least, walk away or end my career on my terms in a way that I was proud of. So that is why, that all came about. And I knew it was going to be hard, and that was a question mark before I decided to do that. Like, there's an eventuality and a very real possibility that I will fail at reaching this goal. And I wanted to do it anyways, because yeah, I've done this sport for so long that to walk away when things were bad, it's not me. And so I wanted to be proud of the way I ended.
And so what's next then?
That's a great question.
Are the Olympics the one thing for in beach volley, or there are so many other international events? You chased that specific goal, but now that it's not there anymore, are there other stuff that are higher, at least at the same level in terms of motivation and keeping going?
There are. Beach volleyball operates like tennis, the world tour kind of model. And then there are domestic tours as well. Like, I mean, all of them are paid like prize money and stuff. So there are opportunities. But, you know, when I took on this journey, this partnership, this project, whatever you want to call it, the Olympics seemed like a nice ending point. So that being said, I don't feel the need to continue. I don't want to. I did what I said I was going to do. I you know, completed the phase of the journey that I wanted to. I am proud of the progress our team made. We missed qualifying by 1 spot. And with everything that was stacked against us, you know, I'm proud of that. It sucks. Would I be happier to have qualified? Absolutely. But I played with a girl who never, ever thought that the Olympics could be a reality for her. And by the end, she believed in herself and she believed in us and that she could be an Olympian. And the like joy that I feel just from that is immense.
And if she can't, do you think she's going to keep going and maybe do the next ones? And if she does, would it be a win for you as well for, you know, not doing it yourself, but maybe at least putting her on the runway to getting there?
Honestly, I don't know what she's going to do. I hope she continues. I think she gained a lot of incredible experience, not only on the volleyball court, but just like life experience. Just beach volleyball is a very player driven, independent sport. And, you know, to see the growth in her as a person and as an athlete, like I would love to see her continue, but I don't know what she'll do.
And how do you form those duo? It's like a wedding in a sense, I would assume. And you said you probably spent more time with her than with your loved one in the past month, especially as you were chasing the Olympics. And it looks, again, a lot like business, where I see my business partners awake more than I see my girlfriend. Even when I add up the weekend that I only spend with my girlfriend, I know in total I spend more time with my business partners than with my girlfriend. So yeah, how do you create those teams, those winning teams? And you said that a few were, you know, ended very rapidly, maybe because there wasn't a sports fit or a personal fit. Yeah. So how do you look back on your career and the different people that you had to, or that you played with?
Yeah. Beach volleyball is interesting in a good and bad way. Just, you know, I played indoor for the majority of my life, and even the majority of my professional career was as an indoor player. And, you know, you're on a team of 12 people and the personalities can be diffused among the 12. You know, you can find 1 or 2 people that you're really good friends with. And if you have problems with people, like, whatever, there's enough people to spread it out. In beach volleyball, it's almost a hybrid of an individual sport and team sport. And it is like a relationship. I find that beach volleyball, you tend to see more of an individual athlete's mindset trying to work in a team, which can be very challenging. So you have to know so much about your partner, how to talk to them when things are going well, how to talk to them when things are not going well, how to motivate them, how to get them like excited, how to, you know, you have to know so many like intricate things about the person. And if the communication and the honesty and the vulnerability aren't there, it is so hard to make any type of progress.
And how do you find the perfect match? Do you have to play with lots of people and say that's you at some point, or are you matched by coaches that say, oh, you two would work well together?
If I'm being honest with you, like any of the people I played with, I probably wouldn't be friends with them outside of volleyball.
Okay, that's interesting.
I would not, like, no.
No, and
we wouldn't be friends.
Yeah, it's very funny or interesting because, again, I'm doing the parallel in business because that's what I know, but it's very common that we hear, do not start a business with a friend of yours, but it's very normal that you start a business with people that become your friend. My two partners are my friend. We go and do parties and evenings together, not talking about business, just having fun because we somehow found a right match. But it's very interesting that you said you wouldn't necessarily go out for just lunch for fun. It would be just to talk tactics and stuff, but it wouldn't be an actual personality fit.
I think it becomes like, for me, I operate on, we are here for performance. Can we put the pieces together to perform on the court? If we get along off the court, that's bonus for me.
Yeah.
I would say that attitude is not common for a lot of female beach volleyball players. I would say it's very common for men. But you see a lot of female beach volleyball players that if they don't feel like they're friends with their partner, it's a little shaky.
Is there a reason you think that it's different between males and females?
Well, I think inherently women are much more relationship driven, and emotionally driven, and that's not a negative thing at all. But whereas men, in my experience, are better at compartmentalizing work and pleasure. And if the two don't mix, they don't mix. I would say that I probably ended up that way because my sport history was around men and boys. When I was a kid, I played pretty much exclusively with boys. When I would observe, you know, my parents playing or my coaching, I was watching boys. My dad coached boys, and so I saw how they interacted with each other. I saw, you know, the dynamics, and that became what is normal sport behavior. The problem is that I'm a girl and so it doesn't necessarily translate when you take that attitude to female sports.
Interesting.
And I'm not saying all women are like that,
No.
but in my experience,
Okay.
yeah, it has presented a challenge.
You mentioned your indoor volleyball career, then you moved, I think, in your mid-20s. Was it when you didn't make the Olympics or couldn't make the Olympics, and then your pursuit for greatness made you choose something where you could excel, even though that wasn't your first passion or the family sport?
Little known fact about me, I actually played both for like 6 seasons.
Jesus.
So I would take my indoor contract and I'd go overseas, and then in the summer I would play for Canada on the beach, and I did that for like 6 years. So I didn't stop playing indoor until 2018.
Okay.
But beach volleyball was, as you said, sort of a means to an end. Going to the Olympics was always a goal for me since I was really, really little. So I started with our indoor national team when I was 16. So I went through several Olympic qualifying cycles with the indoor team, and qualification was not happening. So after the London Olympics, I was 26, I think. I was like, okay, like I'm getting older. as far as sport goes. So I can either keep trying to do the same thing and potentially fail, or I can try to take things into my own hands and try something new and hopefully make the dream happen that way. And so that's why I started playing beach volleyball, was just basically to go to the Olympics.
Nice. Did that inspire other athletes to do the same, or not really? Is it really also different to practice one sport and the other?
They are completely different sports. I was very naive when I made the switch. I didn't know that. And nobody told me that. So
or maybe not many people did the switch also.
No, it was like, it didn't happen. People were either indoor players or beach players. It was very, very rare to see an indoor player make the switch. So the transition was terrible. Lots of tears. I thought that I was just an idiot for even trying, but my husband was like, no, you have to keep trying. But after the Rio cycle, which that was the first cycle that I played beach, you saw a few more indoor players come out and try to make the switch from other countries. And it didn't really stick. There was an American, Alex Kleinman, who ended up winning gold in Tokyo. She made the switch, and there was a German girl, Maggie Kozuk, who made the switch. And those two are the only ones I want to say that stuck with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you were the third one.
And I was the third one. And now after Tokyo, you're seeing more try. So we'll see.
And so what's the big difference and the differences that you were not told about? Technically speaking, not much technique usually on the technicality here, but it's, if you can explain that or dumb it down.
So for the casual, volleyball consumer, obviously the biggest difference is that on the beach, you have to be able to do every single skill. In indoor, because of the nature of how many people are on the court and the substitutions, certain positions, you don't have to have a full skill set. And that is exposed. And not having a full skill set is exposed on the beach. The other thing is, it is much more difficult physically, cardio wise.
Looks like it.
It's easier on the joints, but the cardio will kill you. And just, the timing of everything is just a little slower. How you jump is different. Things that are just automatic when you've played indoor for so long, when you find yourself having to kind of rewind and go back to basics and really, really think about what you're doing, it's so frustrating, because that's what most of us experience when we're little kids learning the sport. So it's tough.
Was that some sort of a rebirth that you relearn stuff? Because probably when you were, let's say, 24 playing indoor volleyball, you were not, you always learn stuff, but the learning curve starts to flatten. When you move to another sport, did you kind of have that youngster energy that you have because you basically start over?
Oh yeah. Everything was so exciting. It was incredibly frustrating, and you question yourself because you're like, okay, I think I'm terrible. I suck at this. What am I doing? But the growth curve and the improvement curve, when you're so used to it being almost flat for so long, and all of a sudden it's got a big slope, it's exciting because you haven't experienced that for so long. And everything is new, and it's fun.
So now, how about a third sport? No?
You know what I want to pick up though? Pickleball. Have you played pickleball?
I have not. My mother-in-law is playing that, and she loves it. She plays 4 times a week, and it seems like a lot of fun.
That is what I want to do.
But will you be able to play for fun?
No, I'm going to find a league.
That's the thing.
This isn't going to be a casual thing. I'm going to find a league, get my rating so I can find where I'm at, and then I'll start playing tournaments. That's
funny.
my plan.
It's funny. Like I said at the beginning, I don't have any sports where I'm great at, where I can be a pro or whatever. But anything that I do, like ping pong, tennis, anything, pool, everything I do with my girlfriend, I'm getting so competitive, and she's not. And she's like, we stopped playing. So we played tennis twice. Had to sell my racket. We played pool. She's like, not playing anymore with you. So it's like a bit like that. Like every time I try, I have to be competitive, and I cannot really play for fun.
Well, you need to join a league too.
Yeah. Well, not in every sport. I might be kicked out of those as well. Where do you what would you say are the highest and the lowest points of your career? But I'm most interested in the lowest point and how you get over such moments.
That's a really hard question. I need to think about this. The lowest.
And not just, not about a result specific in sport,
I'm
but
thinking like how I felt as a person. There've been a few. I mean, take your pick. There's so many. One that jumps out. I mean, I already spoke about the follow-up to the Tokyo Olympics. Mm-hmm. That was challenging. So I would even say the years post-Tokyo have been challenging. But the one that I'm going to talk about is not that. I took a pro contract indoor in Italy for the 2017-2018 season. And at the time, my beach partner and I were ranked number 1 in the world. We were doing pretty well. And, you know, for the Rio Olympics, it was like I was playing beach as a hobby because I was still focused on indoor. And we came 5th. And I was like, okay, well, maybe if this wasn't just a hobby and I like put all my energy into it, like we could have gotten a medal. So I didn't want to have those same regrets after Tokyo. And given the trajectory that my partner and I were on at the time, I was like, okay, I should really give it my all so that I don't have regrets after Tokyo. So I knew that was going to be my last indoor season. I chose to take it in Italy because that's where my husband and I spent our first year of marriage together. I was with a different team and felt like it would just be like a serendipitous ending, like a nice little bow to end, you know, the indoor career. My team on paper was supposed to be outstanding. Like the athletes we had on that team were great. That was not the case. We were terrible. So it was just like a really challenging season. Everything that I thought was happening or that would come from that season was not happening. It ended up being incredibly disappointing. So I get to when the market opens, the transfer market for players opened in 2018. And I was like, do I keep doing this or do I leave and go play beach full-time starting now? And I decided to leave. And to this day, that is something that I question. It was the first thing I ever quit in my life. The first thing and the only thing I've ever quit in my life. B, the reason that I left indoor, I got the same result that I did in Tokyo or in Rio in Tokyo. So it, like looking at it seems to be for nothing. And I left the sport and the thing that I loved most in that way. I mean, it's obviously still something I think about, but yeah, that was really terrible. It was a hard time to like go through and like be okay with myself after that.
Mm-hmm. It's funny or not, but when you say that you quit on something, but at the end of the day, there's a saying in French that says "choisir c'est renoncer," which means when you choose, you let go of other stuff. So for you, you see that as quitting versus focusing on beach volley, right? It's probably
I'm a pessimist.
No. It's not necessarily the pessimistic way, but it's more like you cannot focus. I mean, you have a hard time focusing on one thing. If you know you can be great at 2 or 3 things, you'll want to be great at those 3 things, right?
Yeah. I mean, putting it that way, yeah, I was walking towards beach volleyball, and in doing so, I had to close the door on indoor. So, yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and you're right. Yeah, I guess I just felt so much responsibility to the club, to the town, to my teammates, to walk away from that. I felt so much guilt, and that it was almost a lack of integrity, even though like I took all of the appropriate steps to close that, like in speaking to the teammates and speaking to the administration and doing all the right things. I didn't just disappear one day, but yeah, it is something I think about, because like I never played indoor again, and I loved that sport more than any other.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
So the highest point then?
Ooh. Okay, well, it's interesting because I was just lamenting choosing beach volleyball, but one of my highest points was through beach volleyball. I would say one of them would be winning the World Championships in 2019. Like, what can you say? It's an incredible moment. You spend your whole life working to be the best at something, but like how many people actually make it come true? And so like to have made it come true after working for so long, it was like, yeah, an amazing feeling. And I was just like, this isn't just a moment, but I would just say the life and the experiences that I was able to have playing indoor. When you play pro indoor, you're going to a different country for 9 months. So you're fully immersing yourself in the culture. And, I lived in Shanghai for 2 seasons. I lived in Korea for 2 seasons. I lived in Brazil for 2 seasons. Like, I never would have lived in those places or spent that much time in any of those places, but to be able to really be there and get to know the people and the food and the culture and what they believe in, like so few people get to do that, and I got to do that with my husband. And
so he was following you?
Yeah, he came
nice.
with me
Cool.
after we got married to all my indoor, contracts. And what a special thing, to get to share that with the person that you love and to get to see the world together. Like, we'll have those memories forever. And I'm so lucky that we got to do that.
And what's your favorite place on earth now, apart from Kitchener?
Ooh,
with
Kitchener's
all those travels.
Tough to beat. Oh my gosh, how do you even pick? That's so hard. Rio will always hold a special place in my heart. When I played in Brazil, I played in Rio. And like, it just has such a bad reputation as far as like crime and being dangerous and this and that. But it's just like, the people are so kind. And it's like one of the most laid back places I've ever been. And, I got to play with Olympic champions every day. My coach was arguably the greatest coach in the world. And yeah, Rio will always hold a special place in my heart.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll note it down for the next trip. So no, it's true, but I've looked at places to travel with my girlfriend, and it's true that the unsafe idea of Rio or Brazil in general is kind of a holdback usually. So if you say it is not really and it's an amazing place, then we'll give it a shot, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be stupid. You have to like be aware of your surroundings and stuff like that. But I never once felt in danger or unsafe.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's next for you? You mentioned pickleball, and you said that it's only a week old that you were rethinking possibilities. So, but yeah, not just what's next in the year to come, but what's next in the 5-10 years to come.
I am very fortunate in that I am not in a position that I need to have that answer now. I can take time to figure out what I want. I'm honestly so excited for the future because when I think of my life, I'm 37 years old now, and like my life and my schedule has been scripted for me almost my whole life. And I was even telling somebody, like, I haven't even been able to sign up for like a class, you know, like a pottery class, because I'll have to miss 3 of the 8 sessions because I have to travel. You know what I mean? So it's just like normal things like that of being able to sign up for an 8-week course and learn something cool and be able to attend every class, or, you know, be able to go to my friend's wedding or visit a niece or nephew when they're born. Like just the boring everyday things that most people don't think are exciting. I've had to miss almost all of it. So I'm excited to just be around for the normal stuff, to be able to like see my parents. And yeah, I mean, something that I think would be exciting is to do like the play-by-plays or broadcasting for NCAA volleyball or VNL or something, because I do want to stay connected to the sport. It's given me so much, so many friends, so many relationships, so many memories, you know, financially. And so I do want to stay connected to it. So that's something that I've kind of thought about recently. I'm like, oh, maybe we'll see.
Nice.
See if I can do that.
Very cool. If I were to write a book about your story, your career, your life, what would the title be?
That is a hard question. Oh. Okay, I don't want to keep you waiting for like 10 minutes because I could probably think. But like the first thing that jumped into my mind was misunderstood. I think people have a very distinct idea of who I am as a person based on, you know, who they see on the volleyball court, who they see when I'm doing my job. And I just think that there's a lot of misunderstanding of like who I actually am. Yeah, even as something as simple as like how I got to where I am. I worked my ass off. Yeah, I was gifted with physical tools, but I worked every single day. And, you know, even something simple as that, having to, you know, answer questions or listen to statements about even why I'm as good as I am. Mm-hmm. I just think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there surrounding me as a person and as an athlete.
I would buy that book if the title was misunderstood.
Ooh, okay. I'm taking mental notes.
If you think of an athlete that would have a similar story similar to yours or as interesting, who would that person be? Could be beach volleyball, not volleyball, any athlete.
And not to compare like skill or anything, but just straight experience. There's a Brazilian beach volleyball player named Duda, and she came onto the senior world tour when she was 16. And I can relate to that so much because I was selected to our indoor women's national team when I was 16. And as a child, to be on a team with women that are in their 30s, it's very intimidating. It's scary. You wonder if you belong, but at the same time, you love to play so much that the on-court stuff and your skills and how good you are, what people think about you and all of that stuff, it doesn't cross your mind. Like, you just love to play. But then when you step off the court and it's like, hey, let's get a drink, and you're like, I'm not old enough. Or like, hey, do you want to borrow my car? Oh, I can't drive. Things like that. It's like, I can relate to that so deeply because her first partner was 15 years older than her.
Okay.
And so I see the similarities there because I was that kid who was playing with the big girls. Yeah, she's the best player in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And the last question is, so it's not here because we're not in my studio in Montreal, but I built some sort of a wall with gears here and there from the athletes I've interviewed. So do you have anything that
I do. You saw me with it. Let me grab it.
Oh, true. Yes, I forgot because I was looking here. I was like, no.
I have to explain though. Okay. I need to explain. I'm not at my house. I'm at my parents' house. So much of my stuff is at my house.
Right.
But they do have, or I brought to their house for some reason, I don't know, World Championship top from World Championships last year. So yes, I do have a contribution to your wall. Don't worry, it won't take up much space.
No, true.
But yeah.
So nice.
So really that's the World Championship top for.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll actually pull out a pen for a quick signature because.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Oh no, we can do it afterwards. But if I don't pull out the pen right now, I usually have.
Okay.
For work, actually, usually. Anyway, I'll think about it. It's gonna be another one, but at least I won't forget.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I wish you the best in your next adventure to be determined.
Thank you.
And I hope if we don't see you on the sand, do you say that? See you on the sand or see you on the court, then we'll see you on pickleball and international level. Wink, wink.
An Olympic sport. That's my name.
It could be. Flag football is coming. There are so many sports that we didn't expect at the Olympics that could get there.
You never know. But thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.